Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I have here a package, which means I've recently purchased another piece of lapidary equipment, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what's inside. And if you can't guess, it is a new saw from Hi-Tech. Now this one is the 4-inch, 5-inch trim saw. Comes with a apron. That's going to be the 5-inch blade. And then inside here should be the 4-inch blade, as well as the instructions. And also the splash guard. Let's take this out and take a look at it. And that is it right there, which is quite a bit smaller than my 10-inch. Now the reason I went ahead and purchased this one is I do have the 10-inch Hi-Tech saw, but that one's a bit larger and it does spray quite a bit of water. And so my hope with this one is the spray will be a little bit less, which will mean I can use it inside. But a bigger reason is with the 10-inch blade, it's a little more bulky for trimming up slabs and creek-forming cabs. So I'm hoping with the smaller saw that'll make it a little bit easier, and I think maybe a bit cheaper too, because these 4 and 5-inch blades are considerably cheaper than a new 10-inch blade. So what I'm going to go ahead and do today is I do have these Botswana Agates that I picked up in Tucson this year, and these are a bit small, so I think I should be able to cut through these with the 5-inch blade. And then I have some slabs that I've marked out some cabs on, and I'll go ahead and use the 4-inch blade to trim these out and just see how it works out. But first step is to finish setting it up. I got my little splash guard protector here, which that goes in there. That looks all right. I'm gonna have to add some water into the trough here. Other than that, well, I do have to put the blade on. So let's start with the 4-inch. So with this 4-inch, we got to make sure that it's rotating this way. But to install it, it's actually considerably easier than the 10-inch. I don't need any wrenches. That just comes off. And we insert it right there. And we can just put that right back on. And that should be. Now it does say you can use oil or water, but I'm just going to use water. And I just need a little bit of water, which is quite nice compared to the 10-inch. It's just going to fill up to the point where it's about 1/8 of an inch covering the blade. So I'm going to go and get some water and do that. And like I said, it doesn't take a lot of water, and it turns out it did more like 1/4 of an inch. I gotta find a way to remove some of that, otherwise it'll splash. And I don't want a lot of spray and splash. Alright, that looks like it's about 1/8 of an inch. Just covering the bottom of the blade. Just gonna put this back on here like so. And I think that's it. Make sure that's turned off and I'll plug it in. Alright, I got my blue gloves on now, which means I'm ready to trim up some of the slabs I have here. Now the problem with the splash guard, if you have a larger slab, you're not really going to have the room to trim. So unfortunately I think I have to take the splash guard off, which will allow me to work a little more easily with it. Actually, before I do that, let's put that back on. Let's test out the speed. So it has this knob here and it's adjustable speed, which I'm assuming 1 is slow, 6 is fast. So let's see how it works. Yeah, 1's quite slow, and as we progress it should get faster. That's high speed. So far I'm not seeing too much splash, which is quite nice. It makes me hopeful that I'll be able to use it inside. But let's go ahead and try it with a slab. Alright, well that first cut went nice and smoothly. It's a piece of obsidian, so not too hard. And that blade is rather thin, so it didn't use up a lot of material cutting. So, yeah, that first cut I'm very happy with. Let's go and finish cutting these 4 out. Alright, well that seemed to work rather well. It bit into the stone nice and easily. I was able to get fairly close to my markings. I didn't want to go too close. Something I've seen with Obsidian and the larger 10-inch blades that I use is they tend to break off a lot on the edges. This didn't seem to do that as much, which is quite nice and makes it a lot easier. But let's move on to something a little bit harder. Oh, before I do that, just to let you know, I'm more concerned about me getting cut by the pieces of obsidian than I am by this blade. If you're worried about me cutting my finger off, I'm not concerned on that. I've been cut by obsidian more often than I can remember. Never been cut by one of these blades. Though this one is a bit thinner than the ones I use on the 10-inch. Maybe there's a risk. But I got fairly steady hands and I'm not concerned with that. But I got a piece of agate here. Not sure what kind of agate, maybe sunset. Picked it up for 25 cents at a rock show. I'll go ahead and cut these out now. Alright, well it did cut quite a bit slower on the agate, which is to be expected. It is harder. Hopefully I didn't mess up that one. I think I might have cut it a little too far in there, but that's alright. I'm going to be cabbing off this side, so. Yeah. Alright, well let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to try out the 5-inch blade by cutting one of these Botswana Agates. Hopefully it doesn't take forever. Alright, the 5-inch blade is in there now. Once again, I'm not really going to be able to use the splash guard. Now I got to figure out how I want to cut this. So I can see the patterns there. I think I'm just going to take it off right here. Have hopefully one nice piece, and then maybe one piece that I can use to cab. Alright, well, that definitely took a long time, and I did notice the water ran out, or low, and I have to put some more in there. It's just because there's not much to begin with. Well, let's go ahead and see what it looks like inside. Not too bad. I actually quite like that. I think I did a decent cut on it. I can see some cut marks, but not too bad. Those will be easy to grind off and polish up. Sorry the light's not the best. Alright. Alright, well I thought I'd stop there, call that it for this video, but I want to do one more. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one and do a similar thing. I'm just going to cut it right down here. Alright, well this one did seem to cut a little bit easier. I think that's because I had enough water there. So make sure you have plenty of water, but not too much water. Let's see what it looks like inside. Not a bad one. I do like these little spots. Yeah, I think it does, this blade definitely does a nicer job cutting a smoother surface, but with it being 5 inches and so thin, it does take quite a while to cut through an agate like this. So I think for this machine, I'll mainly use it to trim, do the trimming. I just remembered it had a tray up there, which works quite nice for storing your rocks. But yeah, as far as cutting these agates, I think I'll stick with my 10-inch on that for these ones. Probably need to get another 10-inch blade, but I think that's probably the smartest for that. So otherwise, I'll just use this one for trimming, so you probably won't see it much in future videos. But if you enjoyed what you've seen, please like and share, and if you want to, feel free to subscribe. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.